It takes a lot for a character to become iconic in any form, for any period of time. For a character to grab a big enough audience to buy a game simply by their inclusion, that audience has to want that character to return, based on an existing attachment or teased developments. While large worlds constructed in a style that the audience finds reliably enjoyable can satisfy many, giving the player someone who brings a touch of humanity and fun to what could be a distant experience will go a long way. This is the Tomb Raider herself, Lara Croft.
Well, you have my total attention now. I'm not quite sure if I've got yours, though. Hello?
The former most prominent female video game character has a lot that's been overlooked about her first incarnation. Retrospective opinion on Lara seems to be a mix of shame and regret, but there's more to point out than triangle breasts and outdated controls. Regardless of the negativity in people's minds, Lara's first set of adventures certainly made a splash as an incredibly prominent female video game character. Obviously not the first one in the realm of interactive entertainment, but maybe the first one with a prominent personality. Other games with lady leads such as Metroid and Resident Evil have characters that feel less like people and more like audience surrogates. Obviously there is a certain appeal to that, and there is more to both of these women, but their jobs were their lives as far as the player knew, so there wasn't exactly much in terms of room for personality. Even seeing Lara do something as mundane as reading in a hotel lobby during a cutscene gives more of an impression that Lara has a life outside of what you see in the game. In cutscenes, Lara comes to grip with the existing situation and then figures out the necessary solution to the problem. In lieu of large-scale character development, she travels and investigates. What's wrong? How do I fix it? Where do I go? What am I looking for? If that doesn't sound like there's much to Lara's character, you'd be surprised. For one thing, a couple of Lara's dialogue sequences are kind of charming in a hokey way.
But you bumped into me in India and sent me to find them for you, bringing me here. Listening to this gibberish. Your perception of good timing is bad.
I don't know about that.
Good luck, Lara. I fear you may need it.
I make my own luck.
I fear there are things in the vaults man was not meant to see.
I'm not a man, Jean, and I'm always very, very careful.
Undeniably cheesy, to be sure. But I think if the game can set the right tone, dialogue can fit the mood, and a character that may otherwise sound dumb can sound fun. It isn't as if she's all quip and no anger, but it feels like Lara has a way of dealing with tough problems in fun ways. While not entirely rid of cold and distant exterior moments, Lara speaks to others as a coy and sarcastic friend, even with her enemies.
Always griping, Werner. If it's the leg causing all this resentment, I seem to remember that being down to your affinity with pulling hazardous levers.
Her words have an optimistic determination, even at dangerous conditions and the protests of others. Someone who makes up their mind and doesn't allow others to get in the way of what they want can be very admirable, especially since what she wants repeatedly speaks to the human instinct to explore and discover. Exploring the open tombs is a bit of a struggle. A standard forward jump won't make all gaps, Lara's turn speed is slow even while standing still, doing the quick turn isn't viable too close to edges, running doesn't allow you to jump immediately, and you can't grab ledges if your angle is wrong. So for a player to be good, they have to be incredibly meticulous about how they move around, and have the patience to stay safe. Once you've spent enough time refining your play and properly coursed your environmental navigation through trial, error, and deaths, Lara kind of feels like a well-disciplined athlete and a careful explorer. At least the one that lived. That might sound weird after talking about dying a ton, but it's sort of the mental message of a lot of hard games. You gotta be skilled to beat this. It comes together when you can progress without needing to slow down, or write extra saves, or take the safer option through bizarre obstacles. Just feels right. The weight of Lara's journey is brought not only through the skill of Lara and the player needed to traverse the imposing tombs, and the countless amount of depths needed to figure out your path, but from the tombs themselves. Big falls, spike traps, wild animals, yetis, guys on rollerblades, tumbling boulders, and fire which somehow instantly envelops you, are all things Lara has to watch out for. Those falls in particular are a threat, as the scale of the tomb means one reckless jump and Lara is dead. Probably fitting that it's the only time that Lara shows fear. While dying a lot may inevitably become annoying, it adds a human touch of mortality to Lara's otherwise extraordinary feats. In the face of all of that and the occasional giant T-Rex, core design Lara remains delightfully determined and presses on. As long as the player has not given up on the journey, Lara won't either.
Beast or no beast, Sarge? I've got to get into that building.
Maybe there's a dark humor in seeing someone die over and over again and come back, or maybe it's Lara's eye-catching style in contrast to darker areas, but Lara feels like the sort of character who feels more positive the more you play the game. If you share Lara's need to explore and discover, her enthusiastic determination in the face of dying a lot can be very infectious in that wonderful video gaming way. It may be trial and error, but at least you got someone positive with you. Lara's presentation also has that delightfully video gamey feel. Jumping in video games just lends itself to making the lead feel happy, and along with her precise and restrained mid-air action, enforce the characterization of a jovial character who is skilled at what they do. While her blue tank top and brown shorts are not that far off from usual Explorer wardrobes, I appreciate that the colors aren't muted and make her eye-catching and center of attention in the grimdark tombs. Obviously, the outfit accentuating her body type will put her in the has visual sex appeal so nothing else matters bin for some, either as a positive or a negative, but her physique isn't terribly ill-suited for rock climbing or gymnastics. The claims that her body type doesn't fit for an archaeologist really makes no sense. Archaeology is mainly note-taking, examination, study, and surveying. Granted, you do none of that in the game, but the notion that an attractive person can't possibly be part of a field that mainly involves reading and writing is simply silly. A character simply being attractive is hardly call for negativity, and if your body makes it stand out, you either work with it or you don't. I guess Lara's not one to waste her gifts. Lara isn't the first female video game hero ever. She isn't even the first one in 3D, not even the first one in a 3D franchise, contrary to popular belief. But she definitely made a bigger impression as a character. A new face in 3D with an eye-catching style who fit the realism desired by many at the time made her marketing easy. Eidos made Lara's ads pander progressively more to that image, and eventually game magazine coverage shifted their focus in similar ways. Short-term financial gain, as this probably contributed to strong core design Tomb Raider sales. Long-term, people remember Lara's looks more than her personality or games. I must have been distant from these publications, as all I knew about Lara when I first played Last Revelations was her franchise title and her name. Any character who could do awesome flips while not even flinching at the danger of the tombs they're entering was cool in my preteen mind, body type or gender be damned. I only really knew about Lara's sex icon status once her popularity was waning, and only replayed her games once they were on Steam sale. As I replayed Last Revelations out of nostalgia, I grew an appreciation for Lara's personality and the games I'd written off as nostalgia only, because I used to do that a lot. I'm not going to claim that Core Design's Tomb Raider games have aged great, because of clunky mechanics, trial and error progression, annoying enemies, and very basic puzzles can make the experience both cumbersome and monotonous. That being said, a mostly quiet adventure game with a large scale and an emphasis on details, atmosphere, and skill-based movement is something very refreshing. It may be an acquired taste now, but I guess it's my acquired taste. Do not take this as the argument that everyone should love Core Design Lara, because characters that attempt to appeal to everyone ultimately feel homogenous and inorganic. What I'm suggesting to people is that there's more to appreciate from Core Design Lara than just her body type. A spunky explorer who progresses through sheer determination, ingenuity, skill, and bravery has its audience. Sorry about your damn luck if you're not part of that audience, but content producers don't have to listen to every Tom, Dick, and Hardy who feels like their tastes somehow matter more than everyone else. I've referred to this Lara multiple times as Core Design Lara. Core Design worked on Tomb Raiders 1, 2, 3, Last Revelations, Chronicles, and Angel of Darkness, where Lara is turned into a cold, humorless asshole, so it doesn't count towards all of my praise. Crystal Dynamics worked on both the pre-reboot and reboot Tomb Raiders from then on, and both Laras differ greatly from the original. It's very likely that both of these Laras could be future episodes, but I need to actually play the pre-reboot games instead of just watching cutscenes, and with the reboot franchise still ongoing, I'd like to actually see how Lara's story is going to progress. Until next time, remember, when the positives of a character are good enough, the negatives become worth wading through. Later. Until next time, remember, when the guy who thought that classic video games needed to be more honestly and critically looked at is the only optimist on a topic, something is wrong.